Welcome to Haunt Topic Radio, the podcast for haunters by haunters. These are our scary visions.
Welcome back to another episode of Haunt Topic Radio. It's almost Christmas. Are you guys attending any holiday festivities that are haunt related? In this podcast episode, we get Philip Hernandez on from the Haunted Attraction Network. We pick his brain for about an hour and a half, and we pull out some subjects like marketing and haunt trends that are coming up this year and next year. Maybe some things and ways you could change your haunt up to make more revenue, email marketing, social media marketing, using videos in your marketing, TikTok videos, and lots more. So you'll want to definitely stick around for that. A little update on the Haunters Toolbox. We are now back open. We have Haunters Toolbox 2.0 available for everyone. The site has been redesigned. We have 13 master classes available to go. If you sign up as a Haunter, which is a free membership, you get 3 free classes that we have available for you, and you get 2 videos of each master class when you sign up. If you sign up for Pro Haunter, you get all the master classes, all the videos. You'll get discounts to our vendors that we have. That list will soon be released. We have some good vendors on there and some good vendors coming up as well. They're offering discounts for you to go check out their products, test out their products, and save a little money while you're doing it. And we only highlight vendors that we trust and think you guys will enjoy their product. Plus, as a Pro Haunter, you'll get each monthly masterclass that we do live sent to your email, and you have the chance to join us live during those classes. And if you are a Haunt Master, Haunt Masters get all of that, plus 10 hours of consulting with me, access to our list of mentors that are in our group. You'll have a chance to talk to each one of those guys and gals, and you get a free personalized business plan just for you. And you need a roadmap when you get started, and a business plan will help you do that. So go check out the packages that we have available at HauntersToolbox.com. Well, me and Daryl would like to wish you a Merry Christmas. Hope you're spending time with your families and your haunt families. Take advantage of those seasonal events that are creepy and those seasonal events that aren't so creepy. But we really like the creepy ones. Come see us online at HauntersToolbox.com. It'll also make a great Christmas present for somebody. And we will see you next year.
Oh, hello, creeps. You're just in time. My little Cryptmas party is about to begin. I just love this time of year. There's nothing quite like it. Yuletide carols, sleigh bells, Jack Frost roasting on an open fire. Where was I? Oh yes, Cryptmas. How about we kick off the celebration with one of my favorite Yuletide ditties? Deck the halls with parts of Charlie, fa la 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 la. Make the Yuletide gross and gnarly, fa la 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 la. Stocking stuffed with ears and fingers, fa la 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 la. Chop from all those caroling singers, fa la 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 la. Drape the hearth with chunks of Barney, fa la 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 la. Bits of Bruce and hunks of Arnie, fa la 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 la. Hang the crypt with spleens and kidneys, fa la 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 la. Use Ramones and then use Sydney's, fa la 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 la. Raise the tree and bring the ladder, fa la 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 la. Top it off with Gil's gallbladder, fa la 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 la. Grinning skulls in festive poses, fa la 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 la. Strings of toes and nipped off noses, fa la 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 la. Who needs mistletoe and holly, fa la 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 la. When we could just dismember Wally, fa la 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 la. Have the whole place decorated, fa la 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 la. With the parts we've amputated, fa la 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 la.
So tonight we're talking to Philip Hernandez from the Haunted Attraction Network. That's his, I guess, the main thing that he does. I know he's also CEO of Ganem Lighting. The reason we got Philip on tonight because he does a lot of things within the industry. He goes a lot of events, does a lot of haunted attractions. His TikTok and Instagram blew up this year, I guess maybe this year, last year. So he knows a lot about social media, public relations, influencer marketing, trends that are coming up, because he sees a lot of things that we don't get to see. I know I don't get to leave home a lot, so hopefully Philip will open our eyes to some things that are going on in the industry. So Philip, tell us your 3-minute spiel on who you are and what you do and where you do it at, I guess.
Well, thank you for having me, everyone. It's always great to see our little Haunt Master group. I am a freelance journalist and consultant, like marketing consultant, as you mentioned. I think my personal brand is the Haunted Attraction Network, which I'm sure you all know, obviously. But I also create stories and report on the haunted attraction industry for other outlets. My beat's mainly haunted attraction industry, but I also, branch out and do theme park or just general attractions content. So I produced content for several large YouTube brands like Sharp Productions, also for places like Attractions Magazine and In Park Magazine. And this year I produced 2 segments for cable TV, one for Fox and one for NBC. And I also produced, contributed to a segment for NPR on the haunted attraction industry. So I try and do what I can to raise awareness in the general public of haunted attractions and also kind of study the trends that are going on, as you mentioned. And then my disclaimer, I also do freelance marketing and consulting for attractions. I have several clients around the US and several spooky clients that are not haunted houses that I produce, that I run their media marketing for. So that's something like disclaimer on that. My disclaimer. And as Brian mentioned, if you want to follow my personal content, the Haunted Attraction Network is the place to go. We produce short form video now as our main staple, I would say. So vertical short form video. It's what we pivoted into. And I try and do a video a day, at least one, if not up to 3 a day. And then we also make longer form horizontal video stories for Facebook and YouTube. And we have a weekly newsletter. We have
and somebody who reads a weekly newsletter.
Yes. And Daryl, who reads the weekly newsletter and turns it into a podcast version of the news. We still produce podcasts, but on a much lower frequency. So I'll still go out and report stories with folks, longer stories. So we have a pretty good content ecosystem going on. So we have the podcast for longer form informational items, and then the news every week. And then we have the newsletter that goes out. We also have our website with more written news on that. And then we have all the social platforms for short form and long form video content. So I feel like I feel like we do everything, which is not smart at all. And I would not suggest that to any of you. But what can I say?
Now, what kind of viewership and stuff do you guys have for your platforms?
So during the Halloween season for our Hauntathon, we got 90 million views on just my platforms, and we reached 140 million people through our partners. And that's not counting.
Reasonable.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
90 million.
It's the 140 million is not counting, like the TV and the NPR metrics. I have no idea on that stuff. I have no idea. And we've been able to keep up the content. I know I sent Brian some info recently, but on YouTube this year we have 19.8 million views, and on during the past 3 months, so like including December, we had about 60 million views on Facebook and 5 million in the last month on Instagram. So we definitely, the content gets out there. And I've been doing a lot, as much as I can, to keep it steady after the Halloween season, which has been, we've been making it work this year. It didn't work last year, but it did work this year, and actually in many cases, especially Instagram, we have way like 5 million views in December, this past 30 days. So half of November and into December, that's way more than we had during Halloween on Instagram. So so actually, ironically, a lot of it is like, there's less competition now because a lot of the other Halloween people have stopped creating, and we're still like, here we are.
Strong.
Yeah. So,
but what does that do? That builds the foundation for future years, so that
correct.
They maybe spend more time listening to you next season, next year, next 2 years, right?
Yep. So, exactly.
That's
yeah.
Good. So
just I think that's it. That's always my thing, is consistency is critical for all of these platforms, which is really just playing into their hands. I mean, that's what it costs, what they want you to do. But just I have a channel on Instagram that's pretty strong, and I send out news and updates to that channel as well, like a private channel on there. We also post the newsletter as a newsletter on LinkedIn as well. We post videos on Reddit and Reddit channels. We have a Discord. It's really just
channels do you have?
I post in Reddit mainly around, depending on what it is. So there's a haunted attraction forum on Reddit that we post some of the lists that we do to, but also in the generic Halloween one or the Creepmas one, we'll do stuff. We also have a Discord for people in SoCal, because we host our own influencer meetups every month, and in the SoCal region, and we keep our Discord active for people that want to come and meet up. So it's a lot. So, but it's all about that consistency. We're like, make sure there's a cadence for all these channels independently to connect with people. It's kind of like connect with people where they are, basically.
So what was your biggest change from last year to this year on traffic, and what did you do differently?
It was really the focus of vertical video. Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, it's I'm sure it's going to be different at some point. It's already changing. In fact, well, before I get to that, our biggest change really was really dedicating to vertical video for all the platforms, and then making a commitment to consistency. And it also was dropping some stuff. So, last year, as I'm sure, I know Brian and Daryl remember, but last year we did a podcast every day from September 1st through Halloween. And this year we did not. I mean, we really cut back the podcast. And you know what? Like, it was difficult for me because I prefer podcasting. It's my favorite medium. And I think the podcast audience is much more dedicated, like way more dedicated.
Missed them this year. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, when you look back at our mission is really to bring awareness to haunted attractions. You're not going to, it's like the podcast is people that are mostly aware and in the industry, and they want those long-form conversations.
They're already in the industry.
Yes. You're not going to convince teens in a different state to go to a haunt near them by listening to a like, this is not going to work. Like the way that we're going to convince people to go to haunted attractions is through vertical. And also, podcasting is notoriously difficult to monetize. Again, Brian's aware, versus YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, they all have built-in monetization engines. So, versus nowadays, there are some options for podcasting. There's in-stream ads, which we have on ours, that are just automatic. But, back in the day, like when I started, when Brian started, it was like you just had to sell your own and make it work on your own. And we just don't have time. We don't have time for that. It was just, so I made the decision to cut back on stuff. I cut back a lot of the independent articles on the website, and I cut back on the podcast stuff. And I really dedicated 100% to vertical video, even down to like, I hired people to go to places to get me vertical video. Like, I mean, we really like doubled down on it, where I did content partnerships. I leased content from people. I sent people out to locations. Like, we did whatever we could to make sure we had a vertical video every day.
So the vertical video, that's more short form, right? That's point and shoot and tell about a little bit, but not a full-fledged story. Or how long can your vertical videos be? that were
So
effective?
that's complicated. I think back in the day, like Vine, right? It was short type of snappy content. But this is what I was hinting at earlier, right? TikTok has just announced that starting in January, they're going to be allowing 30-minute videos on their platform. And they also announced they are no longer going to pay any creators for anything less than a minute. So, so basically, I think that back when it first started, vertical video was more like about that fast content.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing now is it has to be good. Like it has to be just as good as YouTube. And good can be relative. I mean, it's like they always say, have the first 1 to 2 seconds are the most critical, and have lead with your question and your hook and people in blah blah blah. I think for Haunted Attractions it doesn't necessarily need to be that way. Like it doesn't always need to be it doesn't always need to be a narrative video that tells a story for a haunt. It can be a meme, it can be a fun thing with an actor, it can be something, it can be amazing makeup or something, but I do think that it needs to be something now that you would share. That is the key. So I think it was more lenient back in the day, definitely, where you could get away with a broader range of content. But the competition is just too much now in the vertical video. So it really needs to be something like that. So it doesn't necessarily need to be narrative.
I think ScareIt Badges are one of the smartest things I've seen in the industry in a really long time. ScareIt Badges are basically either pins or embroidered patches, kind of like merit badges, as they are, somewhat named after, from Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Brownies, and where after you've accomplished something, you can wear the brag tag of the embroidered patch. Some haunts put them on jackets, some put them on t-shirts, some put them on with the pins. I've seen them put them on lanyards. But the neat thing about them is they are very specific in what they are rewarding, and they're haunt-based images that reflect what's being rewarded. It's retention, it is bringing people back, and it's actually giving your haunters, your haunt performers, the ability to share that they are haunt performers. And, oh really, you're a scare actor, where do you do that? And then they will insert the name of your haunt right there. So it's also marketing. I've always been a big fan of ScareIt Badges. I think they're great. So check them out, ScareItBadges.com. No, that is not a paid advertisement. That is just my recommendation. I think it's really cool.
ScottSwinson.com.
We do create narrative videos. And we are trying to create videos that are more than a minute long, trying to stretch that out. So frequently now, where I used to do a horizontal video of a walkthrough of a haunt, or a horizontal video of a overview of an event, now we're trying to figure out ways to turn that into vertical content. So I have some vertical videos that are 10 minutes long or so, on TikTok that perform very well. So we're trying to go into that space for sure, because that's definitely where it's going. Like I think YouTube will continue for a while, and of course they will be the kings of horizontal video, but longer vertical video is definitely a trend that's increasing.
So what do you recommend for maybe first time haunts, people that don't have a very big budget, don't have a very big staff, to start in social media? Like what would you start for, just to get the marketing out there, get your brand out there?
I think that, again, I feel like I always make things complicated, but I think essentially you need to understand first that it's pay to play for the most part. Yeah, you can make your own content and keep it consistent, sure, but it still doesn't matter. I mean, I think Craig and I had extended conversations last Halloween about this, and I know Craig did a lot of experiments with influencers and with content on his end and whatnot. And, it's like, even if you have your own staff produce something, it still costs money. So you can't, it's like this thing where it's like the organic thing is a myth, or it's gone, or, that was 10 years ago. It's no longer the case. It's pay to play no matter what. So I think that's the first tenet, is to understand it's pay to play no matter what, and you need a budget. And the second thing is to understand that you need a mix of things. And I think the third thing I would remind people is nothing has changed. Like, I think everyone wants to think that things has changed, but really nothing has changed. Back in the day when I did my Scream Park, I remember that I used to do deals with the clubs and try and do volunteer hours, right? And then we would like chalk up the university, and we would go hang posters up in restaurants, and we would make pennies and do penny flyers and parking lots. That stuff is like the same as it is today, right? It's not like all we're trying to do is to be where our potential customers are looking. That has like, it's nothing's really changed. It's really just you figuring out where are they spending their time? Like what percentage of them are on TikTok? Is that where they are? Is that all they are? Where else are they spending their time? And I still go back to, it doesn't necessarily need to be a heavy social thing. I think it needs to be a mix, just like it's always been a mix. I don't know why. I think that's the thing. Everyone gets so focused on
shiny thing.
Yeah. And they get so focused on the tactics, they're forgetting that like really what you need to be doing is saying, who are your customers? Where are they spending their time and attention? Yes, it has changed. Like obviously back in my day, right? It was like the penny flyers on parking lots, right? But I think things are really changing as haunts are changing as well. Haunts are shifting. There's a lot of trends in the haunt industry as well, basically moving to a wider demographic. And so, if you're targeting parents or families, that's wholly different. And that might be a different place to target. So anyway, I would say you need to make sure that just understand that your marketing mix needs to be an actual mix. It can't be just one thing. And you need to understand that all that you do with social and whatnot, it should be all part of your budget. It's not like you are, it's not like I see a lot of haunts that are like, we have a $30,000 ad budget. And I'm like, how much of that is social? And they're like, social is free. I'm like, no, it's not. like your ad budget needs to encompass all of these items, even down to, I would say, like with my clients that I work with this year, even, we had to do some days where we had to bring in the actors early or do dedicated shoots. Because the clients I worked with this year, the haunt clients, we wanted to post a native video every day. And then what we would do is, depending on which videos converted well, we would turn those into ads. So basically we were just making a lot of content to test what resonated with our local market. And then we would use that, it's just like split testing again. And then we would use that to put money into it. Right. But we still had to pay the makeup artists and the performers to come in to shoot the content, to come in early and pay me and pay so it's like, it all came out of, it's all part of the budget. And I recommend that as a way to do it. And this is the part where I'm sure the other marketing firms are going to disagree with me. But the research that I have looked at, basically the quote unquote word of mouth or the social, organic, whatever, that part of the content stuff, that is just as impactful on a customer's decision as any paid advertising they're seeing. So what my challenge would be to haunters, my challenge would be like, look, if you used to spend 30,000, whatever your amount is you're spending on billboards, you need to seriously consider that same amount needs to be spent on generating content on social. And I get like, this is where it gets into all the weird, crazy stuff where, you're paying influencers and all that kind of stuff, like whatever. I think that you should honestly, whether you're paying influencers to come out or you're doing a media night, or you're giving them tickets, it's all in that bucket, right? Like a ticket, we think of tickets as free, but they're not really free because you still have to, they're still a part of your revenue and taking up a spot in line. But with the clients that I had, we paid basically we made a strategic map, right? Where we're like, okay, we want to make sure that we have this spread. We want at least 1 to 2 really good videos on YouTube. And then we want these people because they reach our target market on Instagram, and we want these people on TikTok. So we made like a map of who we want to target. And then we individually reach out to all of them. And some of them we paid, and some of them we did content deals with, and some of them, because some people you can't pay. Like some of the bigger brands you just can't pay. You wouldn't be able to afford it. So I made deals with them, and we kind of found ways to work with all of them in a way to get them out to cover the content. And sometimes that means paying them. Sometimes it means a content partnership. Sometimes it means an in-trade thing. Sometimes it means just taking care of them, making an appointment for them to come to the haunt and escorting them through or doing whatever you need to do, blah, blah, blah.
That VIP treatment.
Yeah. I think within reason, then you get into filming policies and all that. But that's those I would say would be the guiding tenets. It's really just to think about where's your audience, where are they spending their time, where is their attention, and not giving up on paid advertising. Like, you still need ads, and depending on your market, you probably still need physical ads. A lot of markets, that are in more rural areas, you're still going to need to, if there's a local news station that everyone in your town listens to, if there's a local high school or a football, whatever, you're still going to need to do that stuff. And then you're just going to need to pair it with more selective decisions. And my thing is just making sure that you understand that even the process of creating and posting content should be part of your budget, because it isn't free. Even if you have a staff member running your Instagram, that's not free. I run Instagrams for 10 people. And, I usually charge $50 an hour for that. So you just got to at least $50 a day for your haunt season should be your Instagram, just maintaining it, it's just saying. So yeah, I think that's what I know that's a really complicated answer, but that's what I would suggest. Those kind of guiding tenets as you're looking at your.
That's why I threw it at you. I knew you would take off with it.
Just talk forever. Yeah, that's how I do.
Is email marketing dead, or is it coming back?
No, I think email marketing has always been relevant. It's continued to be relevant. The overall strategy for get in front of your customers where they are. Once you have captured your customers, right, hold on to them, right? So email marketing is not part of your lead generation cycle. It's part of your sustaining customer cycle, which I think is important for maybe if haunters that don't have a marketing background, but just to understand that your lead gen is one section, right? That's up until the point of purchase. And then after that, it's the sales funnel. You're trying to hold on to them. So email marketing has always been important. It's going to continue to be important. People say text marketing nowadays, which is fine, all that, but it's all it's all the tail end of the funnel, right? So you're trying to, and I would even say it's not really a funnel, it's more like a circle, right? Because the goal is once you capture them, the goal is to make them repeat customers. It's not just to have them exit a funnel and leave you, right? So you're trying to get that. So email marketing and those customer retention items become essential for that. I also think nowadays stuff like on Facebook, you can make posts only for, your top fans or dedicated people. On Instagram, you can open a channel and communicate directly to people. So you can, send out, if you're trying to come up with a name for something, you can do polls with you find a way to keep them engaged. But basically, email marketing is important. You don't need to overthink it, right? It's not like you need to I think, I feel like people understand that, getting emails from a haunted house, they don't want to be bombarded by them, but they're probably looking for a deal or looking for something exclusive that they're going to get.
A good photo with a discount or or a free t-shirt or something, or
reminders, upgrades. I me, I've been saying for years, I hate discounts. I hate them. Yeah. I feel like all it does is devalue your product. But I think you could find a way to set up a velvet rope or a ladder system, and people on your email list are on that first rung where they get a little bit extra treatment because they're
get a free t-shirt.
Yeah. They're on, I think I always think that's better. It's more positive than discounting. But again, it's all back to I keep thinking about the haunt research, where it's the vast majority, way over 80% of haunts, right, are just hobbies.
See, what we did is we discounted the first two years because we were just starting out. So it was we were doing everything we could just to get people in the door to figure us out. So that's why we took the $2 off or $3. Yeah. And then once we got to that point, then we took the discount away and people were already in our system. So, they've already been, they were going to come anyway. So
I think the overall thing about email marketing, regardless of what you do, even if you just use it to tell people that you're open, whatever you have time to do, you must do it, because you cannot build your house on rented land. You cannot rely on the social media companies to be there. Mm-hmm. You just can't. I understand. This is very hard for me, particularly because it's a big piece of our brand is social. But I have to remind myself we do not own any of that. They can shut down your page for no reason.
Yeah, I was doing marketing for our haunt, and they pulled up a picture that I posted 2 years before that, shut me down in September and October, where I couldn't post anything. I couldn't access my ad manager account, nothing. I was so I had to go in and create a different account, and I get access to my ad manager account just so I could run ads. So I was checking 2 different accounts all season.
Yeah, you're just I'm just trying to give you money.
Right.
But
evidently there are some social media platforms that don't want you to advertise, but we won't name that one. And
Facebook.
With the way things are going, there's a chance that something is going to disappear and something else is going to pop up. Like, what's the popularity of Threads or Mastodon for those who have heard of it, right? It's still not the popular one, though their respective companies are trying their best to push their version of the product. And there's always something new. So you need to figure out where your audience is. There's a difference between who shows up on Thread and who shows up on that former platform that's now named something else, and who shows up on the rival platforms. You have different types of people, and they might not all be your customer, or they may be your customer, but you need a different type of communication to them.
I think
Yes. Yeah. Each platform, I'd say, has its own unique vibe, even though the companies argue that, they're targeting the same people, but they're not. They all have different vibes. But I think regardless of all that, the main thing is make sure that you get your customers off of those platforms. Like you need to get them off so that you can have a direct connection between them, and yeah.
You can do exit surveys too. We did that a lot.
Yep.
I was operating the door and the entrance,
Yep.
entrance and exit, Facebook, Google, and word of mouth.
Yep. Yeah. The research, this is something I don't see haunts do ever. And it's really I don't know. I can't shake my head enough time, but yeah, I
like Facebook targeting because most of your local people are there because the restaurants are there, all your stuff. I usually go to Google or Facebook to find information about things local. So, and their marketing is, you set 30-mile radius or whatever, target that. That's pretty simple for anybody. And then Google, just working on your Google stack, working on your Google listing, your business listing, make sure you got photos in there, make sure you have reviews on there. Never did Yelp. And I think someone added us to Yelp, but I never followed up on. I know they say Yelp's a good one and then word of mouth was the other one for us.
Yeah, I mean, when you drill into those deep tactics, there's a lot. There's almost too much to cover. That would be its own book, probably multiple books. But a big piece that I'm gonna say two things on that to kind of wrap it all up. I think that is an area where I'd recommend reaching out to get some help with. If it's not, again, it's all down to the individual haunt and how much of it of a business, there are some haunters it's full time, and some are, the majority are, it's just, it's a side hustle or a hobby or whatever. Depending on how much time you have, I think that's an area where I think it would be worth getting somebody that is trained in Google Ads and trained in that, and you just, evaluate their performance, hire them. And the thing is, that's where you can work with them. In fact, this is what I do for my clients. I don't run any of that, but my clients have people that do that. So I work, it's yes, the haunt hires me, but then I actually spend most of the season working with the ad and SEO keyword person. And I'm like, hey, look, this video I made went viral. So I think you should turn it into an ad. And they're like, thanks for the heads up, turn it into an ad, get a much better conversion rate than they were doing on their own stuff. And then I send them content. They use the content to make ads, and they're just testing the whole season. I think that is the best way to do it. And a lot of those people will take commission off of stuff, or, there's good deals to be found for those people that really understand how to do all that. I think that's something that everyone should consider. I know haunters do everything themselves, but that's a piece to consider. And then the other thing I was going to say that I think is very often overlooked when it comes to all of those tactics is we want to encourage people to share stuff. So that's something all my clients struggle with is do you have a photo op? Are you actively encouraging reviews or actively encouraging sharing of the content? And even down to training your scare actors, you need to train them to take photos with people. You need to train them to make videos. You need to train them to dance, to make memes. You need to do these things. And not all of them can do it. A lot of Q-line actors, they cannot transition from scary dude to dude that is scary, but also does pranks and does, TikTok dance trends, and also can take photos and videos with people. I think that's it. Those things are definitely worth their weight in gold, because like you said, word of mouth, that's how you capture user generated content, which is content from your customers, but the actors need to push it. And the Q line, it's fine. None of my clients let people record inside their haunted houses, which is fine. It's fine. But the Q, enter, have them out there, use that as an opportunity to capture content and encourage it. I think that's the biggest overlooked thing. People want to sit around and talk about all these other things all day. And I'm like, or you could just train your actors to make videos with people so that you can get user generated content. And then people should be sharing your page all day natively to their own stories.
Yeah, especially with the actors, like, hey, can we take a picture with us? And then you're like, the actor's helping them do it. They're saying, yeah, we'll go to Instagram and tag us with that hashtag.
Yeah. But even down to making sure there are areas that have good lighting, or the actor has their own light with them, or you have a dedicated camera guy like Disney.
Photo ops.
I mean, photo ops, fine. I think people need to know how to use, that sounds dumb, but guests are dumb. They don't like the photo ops need to be obvious, and they need to you almost need to seed it, right? Like if you have a photo op, have the actors trained where if there's no line for the photo op, the actor takes a guest and brings them into the photo op area, if you have a stage manager in your front, have that stage manager be able to take photos for people, be able to move lights around so that people can get good photos. Like you need to set the environment of taking good content for the guest, because the guest doesn't know what to do. And
we had a couple of rovers this year actually dressed as zombie like 20s press people, right? Like reporters.
Oh, yeah.
Whose job was to help them take pictures. They had tons and tons of pictures themselves, but they also took pictures of other people in front of all of our photo ops areas. So we had specifically trained people to do that. One thing we were missing is the hashtag, or on the back of everything, right? But we were telling people to do that. And one other thing that we had done then is we go and search for those hashtags, and we retweet them or repost them with our stories of other people. So that gives them a boost, and somebody else is creating content for us.
Yeah. I recommend even going so far as to have printed business cards that have your tag on them, and you give that to people, and then you have a discount code on it or something where you follow, like thank them on social for posting, like encourage it actively. Like when you see them post it, share it, but then also privately message them to give them a discount or some sort of return coupon thing for friends or something.
Yes. Do you know what causes haunted attractions to shut down before they even get started? The top 3 roadblocks are lack of funding, lack of leadership, lack of resources. As a member of the Haunters Toolbox, you get instant access to the tools you need to start and grow your own haunted attraction business. To get started, become a member at haunterstoolbox.com. And also ask your crew. We had a couple amateur photographers in our crew that did really good first 2-3 year photos for us, because we couldn't afford a photographer. So, and a lot of your stuff with your iPhone, I know you can get some good pictures. I've done it. So, but there's like Philip said, there's a fine line about how you want to make sure your brand's presented in the right light. So if you don't have the eye for it, get somebody that does have an eye for it before you release.
Yeah, that's a whole, again, that's actually a whole book in and of itself, is your so here's what I would suggest to your point. First of all, when I go and start working with a new client, the first thing I do is kind of do a skill audit of all of their team members, because you might think that young kid that is your scare actor knows how to make TikToks, and you would be shocked at how many have no idea. And you would be shocked at how many of the older generation actually does. You also don't know, you could have hidden gems in your team already that have enormous accounts, or that are famous cosplayers or famous makeup artists, or just whatever. You need to do a skills audit of them to know who is a photographer, like you mentioned, but also who already does this, who has these skills. And then you're already on payroll. It's way cheaper for you just to pay them to come in early or do extra work or any of that kind of stuff. I think that's usually what I end up. That's one of the first things I do when I do an audit like that, when I start working with the client. And the next thing is kind of, I guess, making sure that you have a brand book. It doesn't have to be super detailed. I have one client where we have an IP actually that we kind of lease out to people, like a character that's leased out to people. And we have a guidebook for that character, just like you would, like we already do this, but a haunt already has similar things where they're like, this is how it needs to look. Here's the look for the makeup. Here's the fit for the costume, all that. But you can add to that for your own brand. This is the words that we use. This is the vibe that we do, and give that to your social media person so they know what you want it to be. I think that's just write it down. That's the best way to get around that. Is just be like, here's it. This is the vibe that we have. This is the tone. These are the words that we use. These are the phrases that we have. This is how we answer questions. This is our color scheme. This is our palette. We do not use these words. We don't do these things. We don't XYZ. It's very similar to your Q line actor training, right? Which is like, we don't make fun of people. We don't do these things, whatever, but it's just writing it down and tilting it for social. That's always what I recommend. Cause like, otherwise you can't get, it's just like that whole thing where it's like, was it in the manual? You can't get upset at somebody doing something terrible on social media later if you never wrote it down and trained them on how to do it correctly.
Yeah. Well, let's switch topics real quick. So you did a lot of traveling this year, different attractions. What kind of things did you see that really caught your eye about things that haunts are doing, the way they're going toward in the future, stuff like that?
So I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and I think there's a few large trends that I have seen. And again, this isn't everybody, but it's just some things that I'm seeing. And I think I'll explain, I think, what it is and then why I think I see them. But the first big trend I'm seeing is more of a move to general audience. And I think the move to general audience and the move to have a higher perceived value are two big trends that I'm seeing. And I think the why behind that is what we've been talking about for a while, which is that, 2024 is going to be a tough year. We'll have, it's going to be an election year, which means it's going to be tougher for everybody to advertise because of competing ad spend. But, also the consumer sentiment and the spending, all that kind of stuff is difficult. Basically, people are having to make choices. And I think that some of the larger haunts and some of the areas, they're trying to make their haunt seem a better value when compared to other activities that they're competing with. And I'm not sure the haunters are like, I don't think any haunter, well, maybe, but I feel like most haunters are just doing this almost like instinctively, where it's like, I'm sure that they have had conversations with guests and the guests are like, it's not a good value or, whatever. Like, basically what I'm trying to say is, I think the model, everything's a pendulum. And I think that the old model used to be, there's a single haunt and you go through it and you get scared and you pay this amount of money for it. But I think now a family of 4 or even 2 or 4, a few friends, like even 4 tween, whatever, a group looks at that and they say, oh, that's only going to take an hour or whatever. And it's $20 a person. Well, I need something that's a whole evening and not just an hour. And I think you're seeing that where, I think it's a pendulum, right? So I'm sure it will swing back. And I'm sure that there are exceptions, but I've been seeing that in a large sense where not only are the haunts trying to appeal to a more general audience by adding more, beefing up their midways and adding options where you don't have to go into the haunts or, larger groups can attend even if they're not scary, or adding medium scary level things to it, all that kind of stuff. But basically trying to create more of a value added, more of an evening experience. And again, all that all makes sense because in a lot of cases, not all cases, of course, the original model of just getting them through, doesn't work as well. But if you have the capacity at your location to hold the people, right, then generally keeping them there longer is better as long as you have upsells, right? So as long as you have these things in place, it's better. I think things are going to be pretty hard for the haunt that doesn't have the capacity to hold people there and doesn't have any upsells. So you're basically just trying to get people as quickly as you can on and off property. I think that's difficult because then the group, they're sitting around in their friend group and they're like, well, if we go to this thing, it's only going to take an hour. So what are we going to do for the rest of the night? And that, I think that's the problem, is where it comes up where you're competing with everything else that is entertaining. You're not really competing with other haunted houses. You're competing with anything else that they can do with their time. So your value proposition, unfortunately, is really not tied to other haunts. Your value proposition is tied to what everything else is around in your area. So I think that's a big trend that I'm seeing, is haunts trying to, even if all it is a rearranging of their own assets, like even if it's just splitting up you have a single haunt, you're splitting it up into making separate lines for each one and making a midway area and bringing in food. Like now, now they can spend more time there and they can hang out and they can talk and make it more of an activity. So I think I'm seeing that a lot. I'm seeing it like so many examples, like Dark in Fort Edmonton. This year they really beefed up their midway, brought in, I mean, their big expense this year was a lighting and decor package for their midway, the connective tissue between their haunts, really just to allow people more time to spend there. Even
did you come up and see that?
I did.
And you did not visit me?
Oh,
Let me tell you, it was a terrible trip. Not for that reason. I love them, but for other reasons, mainly that like my equipment was lost on the plane, so it was terrible. So it was not fun.
That sounds
but
like my trip to Transworld last year. I
yeah,
lost my luggage.
it was very similar. Yeah, I was like, gosh. So other things like Shacktoberfest here in LA, Shacktoberfest, last year they tried that micro haunt thing, and this year they adjusted it to keeping a big stage and a big entertainment hangout area, but still having some haunts you could go through, but really beefing up that area. Same with LA Haunted Hayride. I mean, there's so many, and also, having more child friendly, having a kids day or having daytime tours, having like, even Haunted Overload has non-scary daytime tours. I mean, there's this trend of just making it more appealing to a general audience, which I think is good. Like, here's the thing. Way more people go to horror movies than have ever gone to haunted houses. So we as an industry, we need to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Like that's gosh. And then I think aside from that whole big trend, the next thing I've been seeing is like dual purposing content. So what I mean is a lot of places that are doing Christmas overlays or whatnot, and they're trying to have the same props but really just shift them more easily, right? So like a zoo that will have topiaries out for a Halloween display in some kind, but then they will just remove a cover and turn the lights on, and now they're Christmas. Or they're really like using the same things you have, but just being able to quickly shift it into another mode. I've been seeing that a lot. And I've also been seeing a lot of haunts move to not doing scary at all for Christmas and just doing regular family Christmas, which I actually think relates to the first trend I mentioned of them trying to have a general audience. Like Factory of Terror built a whole Christmas town this year. It's not scary at all. And it's new buildings combined with some of their existing infrastructure. And even Hush in Detroit, they made a Christmas lodge in their bar area and used part of the haunt, but took out the scary stuff and put Christmas trees and lit them up. I mean, it's like you're seeing, even the Deranged Haunted Trail became a Santa's trail. I mean, you're seeing places that are really just trying to get a piece of that Christmas money from the general family audience, right? And then overall, more haunts trying off-season stuff is I've seen, whether it's non-scary or scary, but just trying to make that off-season thing work.
Use your resources. I mean, you have the space and if you're up all year long, you might as well use it, right?
Yeah, if you have the assets. It's different. Again, it's so much of this is depending on the haunt, right? Like how big of a team do you have? Do you really have do you have the ability to switch it over? What are your assets actually like? Like how conducive are they to switching over? Like, and then depending on the type of haunt you have, like it's like not all haunts. Like if you're just focused on being a scary destination and you're trying to transition into a Christmas thing, those are different audiences. So it really is depending on the haunt, right? I just think haunts are trying it, which I agree with overall. I think haunts need to try it because I think the industry will struggle as long as we can't square the circle between how many people are interested overall in horror and these type of things and how few people go to haunted houses.
Yeah, like we started incorporating fall festivals. So we'd have the pumpkin painting and the little games for kids, and it was all during the daytime, which got more of the parents interested in it, and they went and dropped the kids off to the babysitters and came back and brought 3 or 4 more friends. So it's also a good maybe a guerrilla marketing tactic too, because you're getting your name into different things, because when you're highlighting, hey, come see our fall festival, then that gets a lot of eyeballs on. So it might be a good transition for people, just kind of start off small. Oh, that's not really, there's pretty cool out there. You need just to get people at your property and see your stuff, just to get them out there. Because we have people still in town. I have friends. I can't even get in there. No, we're never going out there. You're too scary.
Well, I
hear
do
that a lot.
think I think there's always a pendulum with this stuff. So I'm curious to see at some point it's going to become saturated. I mean, just how it all works, right? Like we came from an area of like an old school haunt, which I'm sure we all know. It's that single, walk through and you go do it with jump scares and whatnot. And now it's swinging to everything you just mentioned, more broad appeal, general audience, and doing more Christmas stuff. And at some point, it's gonna become like I saw a hilarious TikTok about this the other day where she's like, are you gonna go to that event where they put lights on stuff? And she's like, which one? The one at the zoo, or the one at the Botanical Gardens, or the one at the zoo, or the one at the movie theater, or the one at the local haunt, and it's like, I think you're eventually going to get to a saturation where it's going to be like, if all you do is just put lights on stuff, it's not differentiated enough. So it's going to, then we're going to be back to swinging back again, I think, to someone that's doing something really unique, even if it's a shorter, smaller thing. But who knows how long? I mean, again, all markets are different, right? So like how quickly you move back, and I think that's all up in the air. But definitely this year, the thing I've seen the most of is pop-up bars. Oh my God. There are so many. It is insane. Like one of my clients, there are 12 pop-up bars within a 30-minute drive of him.
Wow.
12, like 12 Christmas themed pop. And it's what? And I think that's like, again, you're getting this, like, I think you're going to get to a saturation.
Pop up these actual locations, like tents, food trucks, pop up.
No, generally it's a mix. So some pop-up bars are like temporary permits that are just like a haunt, like temporary haunt permits where it's just, hangout area. And some are bars that are they're just doing a overlay, but I think again, it's just like thinking about your competition. Like, if haunts can do overlays, why can't your restaurant and bar doing a haunt overlay? And now your competition is suddenly, for your Christmas, it's every restaurant in town could do a special theme for their Christmas.
Yeah.
I think I've gone in LA, we have so many that are horror themed. Like right now, I think this weekend you can go to 3 Krampus themed bars in the LA area, which is, and I don't even know, goodness knows how many just regular Christmas. And those are just the Krampus ones. So,
yeah, apparently they're all doing pretty good, huh?
I don't know. I mean, I think we don't really know. I think that's open for, again, I think it's a pendulum thing. I think it depends. But the other thing I've noticed too is, I'm not sure how much this impacts the haunt industry itself, like our folks here in the Haunt Master thing. But I've talked about this a lot, where we're seeing, obviously Disney and Universal are trying to stretch the window as much as they can. Disneyland announced this past week they're going to start they're going to start Halloween. Halloween time will come August 23rd. And last year, the Magic Kingdom started Halloween time on August 11th. And if you remember, also last year, Universal did a preview event in August for Halloween Horror Nights. So really, people are trying to make Halloween 3 months. They've been trying to do that for a very long time, but I think we're finally seeing traction in the major markets to move that. And beyond that, this past month in December, Six Flags Over Texas opened up a haunted house in December. It's just for the whole month in December, this haunt is just open, and you can just pay to go into it. It's just randomly open. And Six Flags up here where we are, they announced they're bringing back their Scream Break. So they're opening up their Halloween event in March, and it's going to run March through April. And again, I think you're going to hit a saturation point in some markets at some point. But, for now, these things are providing something for those, fans to do, and there's much less competition. Like last year they did Scream Break at Six Flags, and it was a much better than normal Halloween, actually, because there was no competition. So they could, all the talent, all the actors, all the local talent, they didn't have to compete for talent, so they had an easier time getting talent. And then everyone who couldn't make it for Halloween or whatnot, they just went during spring break, and it was fine. And their audience again is tweens, and the tweens don't care. Like that was the big lesson they learned, was the tweens don't actually care if it happens in October or it happens in spring break. They just want to have a fun party with people, with actors that are dressed up. Like that's what they want. So that's what it was. So I also think you're going to start seeing more of that as well. for some of the bigger theme parks, where they're going to focus less on the haunt installations and more on just making big parties with actors. So
I was thinking about a Christmas event. If you could open up your haunt and just not be scary, but have your actors just kind of doing more like funny skits or Christmas themed stuff in the room.
yeah, plenty of people do that.
They're not boo scaring, but they're meet kind of like a meet and greet the characters type of thing.
There's a few haunts that do that. There's a few haunts I've noticed this year that have just opened up their regular haunt for Christmas. They didn't even change anything.
Just open it up.
I don't know if it worked.
Competition.
Exactly. Let's go to give you. I don't know if it worked. I haven't asked any of those people, but we put a big list together on our website. Over 100 definitely throughout the country, or sorry, throughout the U.S. Over 100 throughout the U.S. are opening for Christmas, and it's all over the board as to, some that are doing Christmas only, some that are doing Krampus and Spooky Christmas, and some that are literally just opening the doors for an extra 2 nights. The
only way to do is test it.
Yeah.
So since we're on the trends of the haunt and attraction industry, what do you see the next 5 years going?
I don't know. I have no idea.
We go VR? We doing? What are we doing?
No.
VR's out.
VR's, I think, been out for a while. VR and extended reality have been out for a while. I think that haunts will always have a place, just based on the fact that, ultimately physical experiences, I think, everyone says physical experiences are going to do well. So I think the tourism industry as a whole, services, destinations, things like that. So I think that leaning into AR and VR is actually a mistake for a lot of haunts. I think you need to lean into the actors, the interpersonal reactions, the having fun with friends. Like you need to offer something to people they can't do in their homes. And they're increasingly going to be able to do a lot of cool stuff without leaving their house. So you need to give them a big enough reason to want to leave their house by offering stuff that is not duplicatable. So I think that it's not going to be AR. It's going to be leaning heavily into stuff that you can't duplicate. I also think that, again, like I mentioned before, I think it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have the best set or whatever. I just think that it needs to be, I don't know how to explain it, but the barriers, I think, are rising in that, I don't know how to explain, but what I mean by barriers is it has to be a good story. It has to be a good experience, if that makes sense. The experience itself, it doesn't matter if it's scary, in my opinion. I think the purpose of what we do is to entertain people. So the people have to be entertained. So that can mean different things in different markets, but I think it needs to be entertaining, however it is. So I think that in the past, it was easy to have, cheap costumes and cheap makeup and not have as much of a storyline. Just kind of people would go to see it because of the novelty. We're leaving those days behind. The experience needs to be good. It doesn't need to be expensive. It could be a good acting experience or a good immersive experience or, excellent makeup or cost, whatever. It's just, the experience needs to entertain the guests, and it's going to become more critical that you make sure that people are entertained, because otherwise the competition is just too great. I mean, everything's competition now.
You're vying, like you said before. You're not necessarily competing against other haunts. You're competing against their time, their short attention span, anything that can take their time. So you need to bring them in and trap them and keep them there for a while.
Yeah.
This podcast episode sponsored by ScareIt Badges.
We always were looking for ideas to get those actors to take it to the next level. I really want to do something that they can use more than just a meal, or they can use more than just a that a boy, that a girl. They love this stuff, but it's not really promoting a haunter. And then I sit down, ScareIt Badges comes out. That's when I realized this is amazing, because not only is it giving them an attaboy, but it's also promoting them all year round. And to promote somebody, to give somebody accolades all year round and have them be able to wear it on their shoulder with pride means a lot. This right here says this is who nailed it on this day in this year for the rest of their life, for the rest of their haunting life. And that's what I really love about this product, is you're able to give haunting to somebody an attaboy 365 days a year. And that's, so hats off to you guys. I think this is a great product, and I wish you the best of luck because it's awesome.
Get your ScareIt Badges at ScareBadges.com.
Got a couple of questions from chat. So Bob says, what categories of influencers work best for haunts? So tourism, foodies, makeup, haunt horror specific, what kind of seems to work best?
So I feel like my answer is going to be to this one. My first answer is going to be whatever influencers that your audience is already watching. That's my first answer because that is the best answer. But if you're not sure, like if you don't do the exit surveys, or you don't have a way of polling or figuring out, or what influencers are working for your target market, then I think really it's like looking at who is creating content that is around like what you're trying to do, that like represents your haunt. So I would say this is terrible. I'm gonna get shot by somebody. I would say I actually would not recommend putting all of your eggs into the haunt horror people, because generally I think the people that follow those, they do like haunts and horror, yes, but I feel like they probably already know about you in a lot of cases because they seek that content out. So we're really looking for like the people who do like the things to do in this area, or like events in your area, or the people that go around just cover events and fun things to do and things like that not necessarily have any ties to horror at all, that are just pure tourism, pure areas. I would also actually recommend reaching out to your destination marketers. Every city has a destination marketer group, and a lot of them have enormous social presences, and they have usually just one or two people, but sometimes I've made some content for destination places, and they couldn't send someone out. I offered to make the content for them exactly how they wanted it, and I delivered it, and they used it. So I think if you could partner with some of those places and get into that and do it for them, great. But yeah, I would stick in those categories. And then if you have food at your haunt, you can contact the food people, those folks. The clients I've worked with, one of them does have bars, so we were able to tap into all of the influencers that talk about food and bars and all that. It's also fun for them too. Like you can pitch doing like a Halloween special. I mean, you can always approach them if they're non-haunt people and be like, hey, how about we do a spooky special, or we can do this, or that, offer to do something fun with them.
Yeah, lots of people know about Halloween, but don't necessarily know specifically about haunted houses. So if you can generalize a little bit more and go, here's something to do on Halloween, but do it earlier in the season.
Yeah.
To get now.
And he says in here, I want to point out too, he says in here so he listed here tourism, foodie, makeup, haunt, horror specific. So I'd kind of put it in that order. Tourism first, foodie if you have food and if it is good food. We're not talking like Sam's hot dogs, right? Like it needs, because they will actually, because that's the thing with the foodie people, like some of them will judge you pretty harshly. So it needs to be something that is, worth bringing them out. So I would put it in that order. And then I would put the haunt horror people. It's always good to just engage them, right? They're, just do it, but their followers probably already have an overlap with yours. So they probably already know about you, but that's not a bad thing, because it reminds people if they haven't come out. So do that. The makeup one is actually very tough. Makeup artists, can have huge followings and a huge thing. I would not recommend that, but if there was a way to partner with them, I would do that instead. So what I mean by that is several of our, at least one of my clients had two of them had pretty well-established makeup artists, and we did partnerships with them instead, where they would create some transitional content and help us create content for social media and do like collaborative posts. Basically, they were showing their fans that their makeup was going to be at the haunt and they should come to it. I think that kind of thing works out fine, but trying to get a makeup artist who it's not on its surface, it looks like a good pairing, but it's not, because it's not the purpose of their content, right? Is that I don't know if that makes sense.
Not about you.
Yeah, they're about them and not about you, and also it's about makeup and not about a haunted house. So you need to find a way to make it correlate. Even if you have them come in as a guest makeup artist for a weekend. I mean, that's like what we did in one of the cases. We did that, and I think the content was excellent, and it helped us reach other people. It's like we were talking about earlier, having good queue line actors. They were great. I mean, it created a lot of content from that partnership. But you have to think of it in that way, right? It's not a. I think the best litmus test is thinking about, look at their content and think like, what purpose is this content serving? Like, what is this content doing? Like, what Is it just about the person? Is it just a cosplayer and it's about their cool costumes? That's probably not a good fit unless you're going to do like a meet and greet with them at your place, right? So it needs to be like, are these people sharing things to do in this area? That's probably a really good fit because that's what you are. You are that thing. But these other categories seem like they're related, but they only work if you pivot the content in a way that aligns. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Okay. Craig's got a question as well. What are good ideas or techniques to keep your audience engaged in the off season on social media? Any things you can kind of be doing monthly, weekly, just to keep that audience engaged, but not send them a daily newsletter about something that's happening 11 months from now?
Yeah, Craig, that is an excellent question. I feel like we talked about that previously too. I think this one again goes back to what I always say, which is like, who is your audience and why are they on your page, right? The answer is yes, there are ways to do it. However, again, anything you do is going to cost money. It's going to be a budget. So it's like, is it worth that budget? And the only thing I'm going to add is the only risk to this is that when you're creating off-season content, you're essentially like what I'm doing. Like I create content all year round, right? And I shift from like, check out these haunted houses to like just fun content to entertain people. The risk with that is that you will actually like dilute your customers basically, because if you're just making entertaining content, it's not necessarily going to sell you tickets. I don't know if that like weird shift makes sense. So there's definitely ways to do it. And the way I would just think about that, have that in the back of your brain as you're making the content. There are definitely ways to do it. And the way to do it is by just making entertaining content. And there's so many ways that you can do that. You can make what I would suggest, what I do with my clients is we usually have like a once or twice a month, we do like a B-roll shoot and get a bunch of B-roll, and then we can recycle the B-roll. And I always suggest, although they don't always listen to me, but they pay me, they don't listen to me. But I always suggest that you try and square the circle. You need to try and make the content within the context of your haunt or your attraction. It's still like, it needs to be entertaining overall, but if it can be entertaining and also in the context of your attraction, that's the best case scenario for this off-season content. So examples would be, you can make a meme that is, you can, I always have a list of content to make and a bunch of memes, and I could give you specific examples of stuff that's trending right now, but there's always something that is like, just sitting around waiting for XYZ, right? So you can have like, you could even, again, to appeal to a mass audience, you could bring in a generic Michael mask and have them hanging out in your haunt, and they're just like, oh, just waiting around. Or, what does Krampus do when he's done with his Krampusing? He's playing cards with Santa, and they're laughing because they're actually friends, or they're like, there's plenty of just interesting fun content you can make year round. Again, it's just that risk, right? Like if it's too far divorced from your haunt, then it's kind of like, why are we doing this? Especially because everything is pay to play. So I'm like, I think the situation for a haunt is different than my situation. Like my situation as a influencer / content creator, whatever I am, is that I have to post content continuously, and I'm trying to make money off of my content. So I need it to get views, right? I need it to post content to get views so I can make money. I need to get more followers so I can get more views so I can make more money. That's what I need to do. That's a different situation because you're trying to sell tickets. So it almost is like, does it really matter that you keep them engaged on social if it's pay to play anyway? Like if you just allocated $10,000 to boosting posts, isn't when your season comes around, is that going to end up doing as much as having content? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm just something to think about when you're thinking about this.
Now, what about utilizing some of the other things and gamification of things such as trivia nights, or even just posting, sort of getting your people to you're getting your customers to do some sort of trivia, or if you do a horror movie trivia, seeing as you're a haunted house, where they can win something, or even if it's just karma points, right? They answered faster than somebody else. Is that sort of something that would make sense?
It's going to go back to, is that something your market is looking for? And I think
very market dependent.
It's very market dependent. Yeah. I think all these things are market dependent because you have to think about, you almost have to take your brain out of your haunt and think about if you are one of your, it's marketing 101, right? You make your target, your little marketing profiles. So you're like Bob, who, there's Bob and there's Joe, and Bob comes every year and he's a rabid fan. And Joe just came this year and he enjoyed his time, but he kind of forgot about our haunt. So you're trying to think, if you are Bob and you're a rabid fan, what does a rabid fan want from you? Does he want something year round? And if he does want something year round, is it trivia, or is it to have a voice in deciding some stuff for the haunt, or to have a tour, or what is it? Or is it anything, or does it not matter? Because he's such a rabid fan that you could just take a break, and when you come back and tell him that you're open, he's going to buy tickets, And then there's Joe, which is the casual guy. Does the casual guy want to keep hearing from you, or is that going to be an annoyance to him? It's getting in the brains. I think that's often actually something I think that haunts could do way more of that no haunt does is promote other horror events in their area. Because to me, that's actually the biggest through line. If a customer goes to you for your haunt, the only thing that is that person likes going to haunts.
Yeah.
You're 100% certain of that. So if this person likes going to haunts, maybe they would also like a ticket giveaway to the Silent Night movie.
Yeah.
Do you see that thread, right? Like, it's more like, what are they coming to you for? Oh, they're coming to you for this Halloween experience. So I see people do that in SoCal, not haunts, but I see other brands like me do that all the time. And that's something I think is a much tighter through line, is like, oh, there's this horror convention that's happening. We're going to go to the horror convention in our haunt t-shirts and, do fun stuff. Or we're going to make a photo op and we're going to be there. And if you come to a photo op with us, we'll do whatever. Like, I think those are more the tighter through lines, is like, you're giving them more of why they came to you in the first place. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Craig's situation, I know was an escape room and then a haunted attraction some of the time. Now he's going to be a haunted attraction. I think he's still keeping some escape room.
I think Craig's getting rid of all of the escape rooms, right, Craig?
So he's selling them all?
Yeah, he's getting rid of all of the escape rooms.
So, and he's a pirate thief. So I think you've talked to him before. So would it be good for him to, I don't know if he has a story built, but to share the story throughout the year, or do like Pirates and Santa Claus? Would there be any benefit of doing it?
I went out to visit Craig last year. It wasn't when the haunt was set up, but we did a video out there. So I've seen his space. I think the biggest benefit that Craig has is that his set is gorgeous. I mean, his stuff, it really could be a movie set. Yeah, it could be a movie set. So I think, there's a few places you could go with it, but he probably, Craig, I'm sure, because Craig has done a lot of, like I said, he's tested out influencers. He's tested out a lot of this stuff with the local market. So I think it would be, again, him going back to testing out stuff and see what works. But I could see him taking a bunch of different approaches. I know that when we last did our interview with Craig, our interview for the Hauntathon, he talked about eventually trying to expand into a Halloween festival. And if you're going to take that Halloween festival route, then I could see it working where you would use the off season as a way to do like promote other stuff, or do pop-up events, like a horror signing with this person, or do a Silent Night, Deadly Night themed photo op night or something, or do a movie, do those things, or do tie-ins to other horror brands, so that you could make a bigger audience for your Halloween horror festival downtown. I could see that kind of working. And if Craig did want to make content year round and just wanted to make funny kind of meme content, then he has the sets to do it. I think you could see that working. I feel like, I know that as haunters, we all want to tell our story and blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure the audience cares, especially on social media. I think they care on your website. I think that if you made, I think especially Craig, because he has the set. I think if you made like a 3-minute video about the story, that would go on your website. I don't think people would care if, I'm sorry. I know everyone we all want to be like, our saga. Yeah. No, because the thing is, you have 2 seconds to hook them.
Yeah.
So
the cost of creating that 3-minute video might outweigh the benefit of that.
Yeah,
the story's good for your actors and for your vision of creating what you want inside around, your brand. But
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're Universal, yes. If you're Disney, yes. But let me tell you, even Universal, like I was there several times this year in Orlando with folks that had multi-night passes, and I would mention stuff about the story because obviously that's, I'm a huge story nut. And they're like, I didn't notice that. And I'm like, so even the rabid fans don't care. And I mean, that, it's like, I'm like, isn't it cool that you see Dr. Oddfellow the moment that he captures his skull, and then each scare zone is a different period in his life representing his life story. And they're like, is that what's going on? And I was like,
Right.
did you never ask a question about why this whole scare zone revolves around a glowing skull? That never crossed your mind? Well, I guess I didn't notice it. Okay. Well, I don't know what you're noticing then.
This actually kind of leads into John's question. First year as a pro haunt, and used what I had from a yard haunt, and some of that included commercial characters. The audience in this rural area responded very well to those known characters. Planning on converting to an original story-driven haunt next year. I'm conflicted about going full in that direction, though, and lose the familiarity of those recognized characters. I also have a partner that wants to keep and add even more known characters. So is continuing with a mixed bag a better option, or for a very small second-year haunt, or to say hell with it and go fully with original characters?
I don't know. I feel like I think actually Brian and Daryl probably have better answers on this one than I do. I think the answer that all of the industry folks will tell you is to make your original storyline. Now,
but that doesn't mean, in my opinion, that doesn't mean that there's not a place for those known characters, such as your queue line and your photo ops. I think that would be an ideal place for those known characters, because that's the first thing they see. Once the customer gets inside the haunt, I think that's more of an original place. And if you want to start developing a character, like some perpetual characters that come back year after year, start them inside the haunt and then start moving them outside as they start gaining a presence. And with Dr. Phobia, right? Starting off inside the haunt, and now he's becoming the face of it outside of the haunt, and he starts carrying on throughout the year as customers start to know him.
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents.
I just want to pause for a moment and thank Philip from the Haunted Attraction Network. If you guys listen to this podcast, you'll love everything that Philip is doing over at the Haunted Attraction Network. That's hauntedattractionnetwork.com. There's weekly podcasts. Philip also does the seasonal entertainment source magazine that is free to subscribe to. Yes, it is a real magazine to your mailbox. Him and Scott Swinson also do Green Tagged. But if you're subscribed to the Haunted Attraction Network feed, then you will get it in your podcast player. So go on, check out everything the Haunted Attraction Network has to offer. And make sure to sign up for their email newsletter at hauntedattractionnetwork.com/newsletter. When we had one movie character in our haunt, it was Freddy, because Dad would not play anybody else but Freddy, and he was 65. So be careful when you're using licensed characters.
Be really careful about that. Yeah.
No advertising them.
Yep.
Stay away from all that. But we've had guest appearances by Michael Myers and stuff like that. Just we like using originality. So I created a story. Even though people don't, like Philip was saying, we have 5% of people maybe related. After the years, they started realizing who Dr. Phobia was and what he did. And so that was about as much as they got. But then we kind of incorporated, Freddy was kind of part of Dr. Phobia's mind. He was kind of linked up in there somewhere. So I would sit down and kind of write a basic story for your characters or your actors so they know who they are, who they're supposed to portray, give them some type of guideline. I was never really strict. I say, this is who you are, make something with it. That's what I'd like to see out of you.
So I don't disagree with any of that. Oh God, this is another thing. I feel like I'm just giving a bunch of answers that people really are going to call in and complain to me about. But I think I don't think any of that matters. I'm sorry, I don't. I really don't. Now I do. The point to me that matters the biggest is you cannot, if you have IP characters, you cannot use them in any of your content. So it's kind of like.
Now,
like Brian
can you
said.
still use them as a photo op and have other people take pictures of them, or is that verboten too?
I really wouldn't. I wouldn't even
Okay.
risk that. I would always err on the side of caution. Yeah, as a content creator, when I go, I mean, yeah, we'll get, if they have a person there, yeah, I'll do something with them. But I'm just like, why? I honestly don't think any of that matters. I don't, because I don't think the guests. I think the thing that matters is, can you create a thematic experience that is coherent enough to get the guest to understand that, like to feel a difference, basically, right? Like you call it a vibe, a themed experience, whatever your name for it is. Like, I don't think the characters matter, like, really, because guests are never going to remember. Like, it's like, I'm sorry, like, they're just not. Like, I think what matters is the vibe at your haunt different from your competitors? Is it differentiated? Is it like kind of unique experience? Does it all fit together thematically? Because even if the guest can't like point to one thing, they guests have a pretty good sense for the aggregate. They know if everything fits together, they know, but they can't tell you if something, they couldn't tell you what was wrong, but they could tell you when something works and what doesn't work. So I think that's the bigger thing. And then just focus on making amazing characters. You know what I mean? Like, characters that look good. Like, if you have a character in like that looks incredible, that people like, again, it's back to that golden rule of social media. If the content will do well, if you can't help yourself from sharing it. Yeah. So it's the same thing with the characters. If you see a character and you're like, oh my God, I have to get a picture of that because that is incredible. It doesn't matter. It's gonna do well anyway. And the thing is, you're gonna end up, like, one of my clients, I made a lot of videos with this. I'd say one of my clients was a lot of generic characters, except for one character that was kind of almost made by the actor, and it's a very unique character. And as I was making content throughout the season, what happens? Everybody starts asking for that unique character because it's so unique that they start to notice and recognize and want to find that person. So they would stop in the maze when they saw that actor. It actually caused problems later. We had to like move the actor because it caused so many problems that people were like trying to stop in the middle and take pictures with them. And we're like, you can't do that. But like, I think that's more what you're trying to do. Again, it's back to the entertaining thing. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't think the story for this is like blasphemy, but I don't think the story matters for the characters you develop or any of that stuff. Do they look incredible? Do people want to engage with them? And does the environment, can the guests feel that the environment like has a coherency to it, so they will remember?
That's something that Craig had mentioned. Is deep storylines and characters aren't noticed by average customer, but subconsciously it does kind of immerse them a little more into it, and it does make a difference. So.
Like Philip said, bringing your show together, I think the backstory helped my characters and helped me because I could translate that to my actors better.
Yeah.
Because I knew in my head everything that the story was supposed to be. So just giving them a little index card and say, here's who you are. This is what. You're a deranged, you're in the morgue. We had 3 girls in the morgue. You just been kidnapped. He's just taking you. You don't know where you're at. So I want you to, bring me something. You could be confused. You could be asking for help, so almost like an outline more than a story, just kind of, bullet points.
Yeah,
we had an overall theme that was on, like you said, on our website. That if somebody wanted to dig into it, well, Dr. Ford with phobia in 1963, and this happened.
And some people do, and other people are just there for the scare.
Not a very big percentage, but that helped us. It helped me, and then helped them because then they were saying stuff to the house about Dr. Phobia and who he was. Because a lot of people first 1 and 2 years, they didn't know who the doctor was, and I was explaining stuff. So once we started kind of moving that into the story for them, then they can kind of get into their characters a little bit, their act, but as far as trying to get everybody to catch on to it, you could put videos in the queue line, you could put audio, you can have your door greeters say stuff about it. People are so amped up, like you were saying, Philip, they just want to be entertained. They're there just to have a good time.
Biggest thing is to get the customers scared and entertained.
Yeah.
I guess to summarize that, I feel like it would be way better. Like, it doesn't even, like, again, you don't have to. I think sometimes we overthink it, right? We're like, it has to be this, blah, blah, blah. No, you know what? It could just be a zombie theme, and then you just execute it well. Too. And if it's a zombie theme, like to these points, like, the door greeters are just related. The door greeters are survival, are people that survived, or they're people that are only partially infected or whatever. It fits the theme. But then you have an incredible zombie queue line actor that you spend a lot of resources to make look incredible. And it doesn't matter. People will just be like, "Oh yeah, the zombie." It doesn't matter. Like, "Oh, it's so cool." And then the question of the IP thing, like, yeah, don't put Terrifier in there because Terrifier is not a zombie, right? Like, just don't. Like, you just, okay, we're zombies. They're all zombies. Good, done, right? Like, it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. But also, it's like you make it make sense. You're not gonna have clowns, and then if it's a zombie apocalypse, you're not gonna have a regular door greeter that doesn't know what's going on. Like, they're just make it make sense, but don't complicate it. If that, that's what I suggest. I mean, I know that's like blasphemy because people are like, make your original story and make it different, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, just make it fun. Just don't complicate it. Make it make sense. Make it fun.
Make it entertaining.
Yeah, make it entertaining. People, love. It's just, people just love stuff that is really cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just the masses just enjoy really cool things.
And test it out. If it doesn't work, change it. And if it works, keep the pieces that do work and toss the rest. It's all about testing. Well, we're going to wrap it up. It's 9:00. If we have any last minute questions, feel free to ask those questions in the message. I think Craig's the only one with video on. But so Phillips, tell us where we can find you. Any trade shows coming up? Any socials you want to?
Oh, well, just the Haunted Trash Network. We are, on any platform you can find us. We have our weekly newsletter. I try and put everything in that newsletter, and then Daryl reads it. So you can, we do try and keep everyone up to date on what's going on in the industry. And I put all of our new big videos and our content in there, but that's pretty much it. Otherwise, I'm going to go, in January, I'll make a stop out to the Halloween Party Expo to see what kind of retail trends are on, because we didn't talk about that. We didn't have, just didn't get to it. But that's another thing I've seen is haunters trying to expand their retail offerings. And I know in several cases, there's haunters that make more money on their retail stores than their haunts. So I think that's an expanding trend. So I'm going to go see what's kind of new in the retail world, because retail always dictates the Halloween atmosphere, because retail is a much bigger piece of the pie than haunted houses are. So and then after that, I'll be at Transworld, and I will just be wandering around interviewing people. So I always love it when people say hello to me. So drop me a line or message me or any of that. I also want to let everyone know too, if you have any news for your haunt, please send it to me. We send our newsletter every week. We put please send me your press releases. Please send me your news, send me your press releases. We don't charge anything. Send it to me. We'll put it in the newsletter. If you have some videos of your haunt or some stuff coming up, I'll now that it's the off season and I have more time, if you send me some videos for your stuff, I can put something together for you for social and share it. Just please send your information. Yeah. Also, please make more press releases and send your information to people. Haunters don't do that at all. Anyway, I'm done.
Yes, you've highlighted press releases before, but I think we need to have a whole class on that.
It's something that is absolutely incredible to me. Even recently, I'll tell you, when I was making that list of 100 haunts, I reached out to a significant portion of them and was like, please give me information about your haunt, about your event. If you have any videos or characters, we'll share them. You know how many sent me videos? You want to guess?
Zero.
That's exactly right.
Man.
And I'm like, I literally, for Dent Schoolhouse, I had to contact a guest actor to shoot video for me of the queue to make a video for them, because they didn't have it. And I just think that, again, we overcomplicate things. You know what? Do you have B-roll fun video of your haunt? Do you have, are you telling people about your haunt in a press release? And do you have video of your haunt? And do you have an email list? It's not complicated, right, folks.
Yeah. Step 1, 2, and 3.
I know,
but I'm just as guilty. When I was running the Dead Factor website, I didn't have press releases at all. So
yeah,
a video on there. So it's like something you could just do, knock out in a day or a week, just have all your stuff lined up right there, get it done.
And nowadays, for the Christmas events, I know that people are like, oh, Christmas events, we don't have budgets and blah, blah. You know what? It doesn't take a lot of budget to just write a quick press release about your Christmas event and send it out to people. And you know what? The worst case is nobody does anything with it, but I bet you at least one person will post about it, it's so easy. And then it doesn't need to be complicated B-roll. You know, if you're just using your phone and just shooting a few shots of characters and some of your props and your fun Christmas spooky decorations, that's enough for me to turn into something. So anyway, I wanted to reply to John really quick. He said he'll look for a way to work his clowns into his original story. You know what? Again, clowns can work into any story. Just don't overcomplicate it and keep it.
Clowns.
Yeah, exactly. Zombie clowns. There you go. Done. Clowns matter space. Done. Like clowns in any situation, like 12-foot skeleton clowns. They can work in any situation. Just kind of make sure it fits into what's going on in a way that is not complicated, right? Like this isn't a thing where it's like the clown virus has infected people and after a 7-day incubation period, they start having this like series of funny missteps. Like, no, it's simple, right? Simple. There are zombie virus. It has infected a clown college, zombie clowns. Easy. It needs to be easily, like, it doesn't need to be a stretch. That's going to be my thing. I'm done.
Kind of like maybe like a Netflix summary or less, or like a Netflix title.
Yes, that's a great tactic we've talked about before, is to, you know, like when you're pitching movies, to have that like pitch line. It's usually like a 1-sentence thing.
Yeah.
Like you need to be able to explain it in a sentence.
Elevator pitch.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
You owe me a beer, Terrell. Transworld.
I'll buy you one at Transworld.
Yes.
Oh yes, I will also be at the Oscars this year. So, and also as a reminder, the Oscars, you can submit your haunt and your stuff for the Oscars until the 31st. They also have scholarships open. Yeah, if you have any of your team members, your makeup artists, any of the students, whatnot that work for you, scholarships are open, and the Oscars are open, and we will be working on helping to produce them this year. So if you go to that, you'll see me there.
And if anybody wants to get in contact with you about that or the Haunted Attraction Network,
just
go
contact me.
Go to your website.
Yeah, the website, or you can. I'm active on Messenger and Instagram. You can private message me, or you can just message me on the group or Messenger or anywhere.
And in case you can't find Philip, just contact one of us and we'll get you.
Yeah, Brian Dillon.
I'll tag you in something. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Done? We're done.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for all your time and wisdom.
2023 has been a very fun year. It's been a very busy year. It's been a chaotic year for many. So wishing everybody the best, and we'll see everybody on the flip side in 2024.
Come see us at Transworld. I know it's a few months away, but we'll be there.
No, it's only a couple of months away. It's not that far.
Oh man. All right.
Okay.
We got a lot of work to do, Brian.
Shoot.
Take care, everyone.
Signing
Thank you.
off.
Bye, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye.
The world's financial crunch has even hit St. Nick. He's had to lay off helpers, which made him downright sick. And now here comes the saddest news, news you won't believe. Dear Santa won't be coming to your house Christmas Eve. Santa Claus went broke just the other day. Then his friendly bank repossessed his sleigh. His costs have all gone up, his profits all way down. This Christmas poor old Santa Claus ain't coming to your town. Juggle bills, can't get through the stack. It ain't no joke, the fat guy's broke, there's not much in his sack. Jack, Santa Claus is sporting quite a frown. It makes him sick to think St. Nick ain't coming to your town. Santa has a list, a shorter one, I fear. Your name's not on it now, but maybe on next year. The money crunch has hit, dear Santa Claus as well. Someday this Christmas will be called the holidays from hell. Juggle bills, that's all that Santa does. No time for toys for girls and boys, it ain't what it once was. 'Cause Santa Claus hasn't got a buck. They cut up all his credit cards, and you're just out of luck. He's tightening his belt. He's even lost some weight, a shadow of himself. At just 328, he had 8 reindeer once. but now he's down to 5. He barbecued the other 3 to keep his elves alive. Juggle bills, just to make ends meet. Santa's got a push cart selling chestnuts on the street. Oh, Santa Claus, it's so hard to believe that roly-poly jolly man won't be there Christmas Eve. Yesterday was bad, today is even worse. I thought I'd never hear dear old Santa curse. This damn financial crunch has turned us all to boobs. Santa's life as well as ours have all gone down the tube. Juggle bills, can't get through the stack. It ain't no joke, the fat guy's broke, there's nothing in his sack. Jack, Santa Claus, the bottom line is clear. The ink is red, I think we're dead, no Santa Claus this year. There ain't no fun for anyone, no Santa Claus this year.
This podcast episode sponsored by ScareIt Badges. Get your ScareIt Badges at ScareBadges.com. Also sponsored by Hunter's Toolbox. Take your haunt to the next level at HuntersToolbox.com. Thank you for listening to Haunt Topic Radio. Please leave a comment wherever you found this podcast. Each comment you leave will help spread the word to other haunters around the world. See you next time.